Well, just might ride out there.
With that being said, we will call this meeting of Macon County Planning Board to order. First item on the agenda tonight is to approve the minutes from July 18th. We've not had a chance to look over those. I asked we do that this time, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
There's one change that I saw, and it says that under special election that the chairman rolling open the floor for nominations, but at that time you were vice chairman.
Change that this morning.
That'd be the only thing I saw.
Okay.
Isn't that right? He promoted you too early.
Does anybody have any more corrections?
I get to check them off.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So,
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor? Moving right along, liaison comments. Again, Commissioner Tate is unfortunately can't make it here with us tonight. So we'll move on down to public comment. And it doesn't look like, unless anyone from the media, would you guys, anybody got anything you'd like to? I'm all right. Have a new reporter, Jake.
Yeah.
He's with the Franklin Press.
Okay.
And he's been covering a lot of town stuff. Are you doing county as well?
The planning meeting, so I'll see you guys here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Unfinished business, we have none. And the first item on new business is to discuss House Bill 74. And Matt had sent out an email today with the House Bill 74. It was last week. And since he has met with Chester, our county attorney Chester Jones, and they have went over House Bill 74 and the implications that it will have on this board as we move forward with the floodplain ordinance, and I'll let Matt discuss his conversation that he had with Chester at this time.
House Bill 74 is about 30 pages. I'm just going to read one section comparative to us. It's section 10.2, which is a temporary limitation on the enactment of environmental ordinances by cities and counties. Basically what has happened is they've ratified House Bill 74 to where counties can't adopt environmental ordinances or amend environmental ordinances without certain stipulations. And basically the only stipulation is a unanimous vote from your county commissioner. So Jack and I went and talked with Jack Horton and Chester about it, said what do we need to do. Chester issued his opinion on it, and it's a 4-page letter. And I'm not going to read all of it. But basically, he's of the opinion that the extent of the subject matter of any proposed amendments to or restatements of the Macon County Flood Ordinance regulates matters that are also regulated in whole or in part by a state or federal statute, which is enforced by a quote-unquote environmental agency. The temporary limitation on this moratorium of House 74 would apply to amendments or rewrites of the flood ordinance. So it's a consensus of the county commissioners that until October of 2014, when this moratorium expires, we will not be looking at environmental ordinances for proposed change. And we can discuss that in a minute. The next question obviously is where we go from here. And that's where there was also consensus from the commissioners for us to move toward the surplus property, see if we can look at some potential uses of that property or determine to get it rid of, depending on what it is, where it's at.
Which is what our next task is. And, without, in the absence of Commissioner Tate here tonight, I would say that we'll just discuss if anybody has any questions or comments on House Bill 74. just as we put the discussion of the floodplain ordinance to bed here this afternoon.
Can I ask one question now? Is that saying, since the Macon County ordinance is in place and it is stricter than the state ordinance, it has to stay that way until this moratorium is off?
That's, Chester and I and Jack had a long, excited discussion about that. And we didn't think that their intention was to eliminate, to allow local government to come off of some of their regulations or reduce the regulations, but it was never specifically addressed. So currently, Chester's opinion is whether you're going more stringent or less stringent, or the way it's written right now, we have to wait.
What'd you say about the county commissioner then?
There is, if there's a full unanimous decision to change an ordinance by the county commissioner, a unanimous decision, then it could be changed.
But you said that they have instructed us not to do it.
Right.
So therefore, there will be nothing to come before them.
Right. And Chester has three. What he doesn't want to happen is for us to spend a year working on this and come up with something that's not going to change either because of state legislative changes or the county commissioner are not willing to support it now.
Okay, so House Bill 74 is in effect until October 14?
That section is until October 1st of 2014.
And they're calling it a moratorium is what they're calling it?
Chester's referring to it as a temporary and limited moratorium. And I can send you a copy of this letter.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure that they don't intend just to follow their restrictions and not have anything going on?
I think that discussion Jack and I had with it, Chester said that they intended for us to leave it alone until they can expand it further, which means that there's going to potentially be some legislative issues coming down in 2014, some changes that way.
So, just so I understand, which one of these 9 agencies covers the state floodplain ordinance?
What Chester says is it's not because of like the erosion control ordinance that it affects it as a whole, it's because it can affect it as a part of it. And the parts that he's concerned with are the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and then the Sediment Erosion Control Commission.
Can we not get clarification from the state?
I think the whole thing is, and I think where, and Chester alludes to in the his three concerns that he would have with us moving forward with this is, at the end of the day, we're talking about a unanimous approval on the Board of Commissioners if we were to do anything. And so if we work 6-8 months and send something up to the commission, then we have to have unanimous approval before it would pass. And, I mean, and that would be
The other issue too is if it does pass, the legislator might change again in 14, where we have to go back and revisit it again.
Do we know where we're operating under our rules or their rules?
We're operating under our rules.
I think the only question I have is, why does Macon County need their own ordinance? Why should we regulate Macon County? Why not depend on the state and federal government? And go by the FEMA?
That's a question for the commissioners. I think that we were tasked with reviewing the ordinance that we have on the books that's been adopted by a county commission, and they're the only ones that could undo that. So I don't think it would behoove us to debate that issue here tonight.
Well, the last, the meeting when we all talked about filling the floodplain and stuff, it seems to me like the planning board was all, from what I was gathering, was really not for Macon County flood ordinance. And it seems to me like the planning board is making the request for Macon County to review that as to potentially dropping the flood ordinance totally. But I think the whole key here is to try to allow Macon County residents flood insurance. So I don't think that we have to have a Macon County flood ordinance in order to, for us to.
Well, that wasn't the only thing that the flood ordinance was for, was to provide flood insurance.
Well, we're
Yeah.
advisory board.
Well, I was just gonna say, the feds require you to have a flood ordinance if you want to have the ability to get federal flood.
Yeah, but I mean, that wasn't.
Yes,
the
no,
sole purpose.
right, but I was just saying, that's one reason why you gotta have it.
Well, we're advisory board of commissioners. I think we got to follow their direction,
Yeah.
what they want to do. If they want to look at surplus property out there, let's move on with that.
That's all we can.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's all we can.
And John, I realized that you just came on, and what had happened was we had a joint meeting in February of last year with the commission, and they tasked us with priorities that they wanted us to look into as a board. February of this year, excuse me. And the first one of those was the floodplain ordinance. And as we looked into that, you probably kept up with the newspaper and seen how the histories went with that. And now, the latest chapter in that book is that we've gotten official word upon consensus of the commissioners and their legal opinion that we should just let it be 2014.
But you have to have a withdrawal from the commissioners, what they're going to task us with either. And they not met and said withdraw it from the
That
board.
was your consent. They had a consensus that says they're going to withdraw it and ask you to look at surplus property.
And this is comes from the legal counsel too.
And that's what Jimmy was going to talk about tonight. He didn't. All paid the same.
You're going to get double the salary.
They don't get double pay on the next one. Do we get 10% or whatever we tell them to sell?
They ought to get commission on that.
That's right.
There you go.
I say sell it all.
Give me a list. It's pretty good.
I have one question. At that annual meeting with commissioners, one of the things they mentioned as a future study would be water resources in Macon County. And if we're not going to be reviewing the ordinances, I think it would be good at some point for us to check in with them and see if that request for us to look at water resources is going to carry.
Yeah, and we, certainly if Commissioner Tate was here, he could probably speak better to that than I, but for right now, we're going to discuss the properties that the county has and how the county can use these properties and if the county needs these properties and how these properties can be better used or maybe sold, bring the county some revenue in. So, in light of that, the next item on the agenda is to discuss the properties and in the absence of Commissioner Tate again, I don't know how much we can get into that. Matt, do you have anything for us on that?
Justin Setzer and I looked at some of the property. There's not as many as I think there are.
Good.
What I'll do for the next meeting is have some plans made up maps, maybe send them out early, but I'll have some printed off too for the next meeting. What y'all need to be looking at is, once you get those maps, is looking at potential uses. If there's something that you think you need the county to look at it or if you want to sell it, whatever we need to do. Just start planning and looking at that. And then, of course, there's some properties the county owns that we can't sell, like along Peach Creek, where FEMA bought it out and transferred it to the county, stuff like that. I won't bring to you, but those properties are out there, just know that.
It'd probably be simpler not, for us not to have it. The county has no option.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's county owned property, but it's
there's-
got a deed restriction on it essentially. Yeah.
Talking with Justin, there's, I think, 5 or 6 on the web page. And then there's only about, I would say 5 or 6 more, I'd say 12.
There's not as much as, I guess, I would think.
Not
I thought there were.
Not would be.
Is there many properties, take South Macon School, for example, where over half of the property is not used? Are there a lot of those properties?
I've not looked into that, but I will. On properties we have that
we may have a structure on it, but if they're 30 acres, we'll only use 2 acres of the 30. I'm just hypothetically speaking.
A good portion of that's not usable, but
Does it still belong to the county, or do they transfer it to schools?
part of
Thank
it
the
still
county.
belongs to the county.
Thank you.
The county transferred the part of school zone that's being used for the school.
Yeah,
I
they
think
did that, but I think that's still on there.
Well.
I think that's who walked, yeah.
I think that's probably some of the buttons on around the land for the low flaws out there. I mean,
There's one like,
is it 500 feet or something, the county got to control at least 500 feet around the peripheral of the landfill.
like out at the Forest Service building on Airport Road. North Carolina Forest Service owns part of that, but we own like 2 or 3 acres around, which
Some of that may be in the,
flight pad.
Is that where they cut all them trees up there by Wayne Lynch's house?
Oh, it's right behind.
no, it's up higher on the hill.
Part of that, I was talking to Wayne the other day, part of that is in that, that they can't do anything.
Yeah.
with it. He can use it for his cattle or whatever he
Yeah,
wants
but
to
you
do.
can't
They
build
can't.
anything.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah, they cut a bunch of pine trees up off of it not too long ago.
I don't think that's, well, I don't know, I doubt that, what I remember years ago was up there at Albert Ramsey, they popped those trees there around these barns from the airport was doing some barns.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking at that airport stuff. There's quite a bit down there around the airport, but I don't think they can sell it or do anything with it. I think that'd have to stay, because they had to have it when they built the airport.
And somebody's paid for it, FFA money too.
Yeah.
FFA. That probably was. FFA, so, you know, there's probably restricting themselves. The county's got this.
Okay. Well, Matt, that sounds like a good game plan, Chris had a good suggestion there, with the properties that maybe just one structure on, but large acre tracts. I think that's just as valid, and we could probably throw that in the mix as well. So we got a consensus on that. I mean, I think that would give us a better.
Yeah, Birdie's track up there, something like that. Until it's one part of it. If there are any problems.
I think there may also be archaeological.
Yeah, there is something like that.
They wouldn't affect the private party.
No, but it might be what you get.
Better than that.
Maybe so, maybe so.
But didn't Commissioner Tate, didn't he ask us to look at total, and maybe not for selling, but uses the county could use it for, suggestion for uses?
Yes.
You did.
And there's some out parcels on Cowee that I guess they got off tax money. That have been on the internet forever, that no benefit to the county. Obviously, something like that, we could sell. There's gonna be something probably need to keep looking at.
So they do have some of those over, taken for tax.
Looks like.
I've seen several scattered around over the county, that had the county thing. I assume that's what
All right, is there anything else? We got any more announcements? Has anybody got anything we missed or left out? We're gonna get out here before 4:20 today.
And we accomplished that.
Yeah, we did.
you there, you're making a good turn.
It's a bad thing these things are televised, though. Now I'm gonna have to go back to work. Anyway, if we don't have any more announcements, our next meeting will be September 19th, 2013.
4 o'clock, John.
Hey, I was gay. Somebody else is telling me bad.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second. 80 seconds. All in favor? Joe, make a motion.